Hey guys, I am G Corp and I welcome you to the Roundtable guide. Today I am bringing to you our first build guide, the Blood Frenzy Monk. This is a build that combines the poise breaking potential of one of the best in-game Ashes of War with statuses like Bleed and Frenzy. So without any further ado, let's get right into it. You'd wanna start with the Prophet class and acquire the Hook Claws, Flames of Redmane Ash of War, Blood Flame, and Flame of Frenzy incantations. Starting from the Stormvale Cliffside Site of Grace, as you enter the tower, instead of going up the stairs, go straight ahead past this enemy to find the Hook Claws. Next up, northwest of the Rose Church is a scarab which drops the Blood Flame Blade incantation. Moving on to Fort Gale North, Site of Grace in Caleb. Head up to the fort's entrance, then turn eastward and follow along the walls. I hope you'd be more careful than me. You'd soon reach two flamethrower enemies, and just between the two is the Flames of Redmane Ash of War. Lastly, you'd want to pick up the Flame of Frenzy incantation from the Kalu Baptismal Church in the Ailing village while trying not to be rat. Your gear would look like this: keen hook claws with Flames of Redmane. A great thing about claw weapons is that when you two-hand them, after buffing them with incantations or grease, both of them will have the buff. Another great thing about claws is their attack speed. Your secondary weapon would be Occult Blood Flame Claws. They provide greater mobility and work well against enemies that are flame resistant. They also come in handy if Blood Flame runs out while an enemy is staggered. Dragon Communion Seal is the best seal for arcane builds owing to its S scaling in arcane. The talismans for this build are the Flock's Canvas Talisman, which increases the damage of our incantations, Lord of Blood's Exaltation, which buffs us every time an enemy bleeds, Green Turtle Talisman for stamina regen, since you can burn through stamina while casting Flames of Redmane and doing the follow-up attacks, Shard of Alexander, which increases the damage of our Flames of Redmane. The Flask of Wondrous Physic used here has the Flame Shrouding tier and the Cerulean Hidden tier. This boosts our fire damage and gives us unlimited FP for a short duration. The primary incantations for this build will be Flame Grant Me Strength, which increases the caster's physical and fire damage, which happen to be our primary damage types. Blood Flame Blade is our primary weapon buff, which grants us fire damage and extra bleed, which lingers on the enemy. Swarm of Flies is our ranged cast when we want to proc bleed from afar. Flame of Frenzy is our secondary damage and stagger cast, while Frenzied Burst is our snipe skill for drawing out enemies or killing the ones out of reach. It is also a very good opening skill against bosses. This can also stunlock most NPC invaders. Our stats are as follows: 41 Vigor to not get one-shotted, 25 Mind gives you enough FP pool, 25 Endurance to be able to wear some of the heavier armors as well as attack spamming a poise broken enemy. We don't need any strength investment, 25 Dexterity for keen scaling hook claws. We don't need any intelligence either. 35 Fate for incant scaling and 60 Arcane also for incant scaling. During your normal gameplay, you'd wanna have Blood Flame Blade always active. For a group of enemies huddled close together, you'd wanna cast Flames of Redmane followed by Flames of Frenzy or Swarm of Flies depending on how close they are to each other. You can also pull enemies to you individually using Frenzied Burst. Once an enemy is staggered, you'd want to hack at them without going for a crit. An advantage of running a purely physical weapon is that you can use different Vs according to different situations. Now coming to bosses, you'd want to take your flask and buff with Flame Grant Me Strength before starting the fight. You can open with Frenzied Burst or Swarm of Flies depending on the distance. Next, look for an opening to cast Flames of Redmane repeatedly since most bosses won't poise break with a single cast. Once they are poise broken, go hack at them to proc bleed. Sometimes you can add in casts of Flame of Frenzy. Rinse and repeat and you have a dead boss. Like mentioned earlier, if you run out of Blood Flame mid-stagger, switch to Bloodhound Claws instead of buffing while the enemy is down. If you're gonna use Spirit Ashes, I'd say Tish suits the theme of this build well enough. There are some incantations I didn't add to this build owing to them not matching the theme, but you can still give them a try. These would include incantations like Lightning Armament and Golden Vow, which would provide you versatility and damage increase respectively. This brings us to the end of this build. Like the video if you liked the build, share your thoughts on it down in the comment section. You can join us on the Roundtable Discord linked in the description. Stay tuned for more guides and builds. This is G signing out.